Well, good morning, everybody. 21st of April. Hey, at least I got the date right, huh? It's Friday. Friday, 21st of April. At least I think it is. You know, you hear a lot of talk now about aliens all over. So maybe it's not the 21st. Maybe it's an illusion. Maybe a Bigfoot monster and the Loch Ness monster got together on their spaceships with the lizard people, and it's actually not the 21st, you know, and they're controlling all of this from the opposite side of the flat earth. And I know this is all true. No, but we're supposed to believe other things anyway. Except for aliens. I guess we're supposed to believe in aliens now. You know, even though nobody's really ever got any kind of evidence. At least we've never seen any. But you hear a lot of people, there's even some people in the Canadian government many years ago talking about that there are aliens and things like that. Huh. I guess you never know. To me it sounds a little bit too far-fetched unless I see some kind of evidence. I'm in Minsk at the moment. I didn't say where I was at, did I? Well, it's the 21st, and I'm in Minsk. No aliens around here, but this is my neighborhood. I thought I'd just kind of show you around since the weather's getting a lot better now. You know, this is on the other end of the street. Now I'm going to be walking down this area here. This says, if you can see that, Minsky Avtozavod. So this is a factory. Very famous factory actually in the Soviet Union times, and of course in Minsk and even in Russia. Well, even in Europe. So a lot of the buses and trucks and things like that, heavy earth moving equipment, a lot of that is built here in this factory. I think it goes down quite a ways. Here's a sort of a semi-truck they made. And I've been here before. I did a video and I walked around this place. This was, I don't know, less than a year ago. Look at, here's a sort of a minibus. This is probably great for getting around small streets in China or something in the cities. I'll show you the main entrance when I'm walking over here. But one of the things I want to talk about today, there's only a few things actually. Except for just to show you around. You want to see what it's like up here in Minsk. Very famous part of Minsk. This is one of the big industrial locations here, this factory of Minsk. They make tractors. That's just a couple metro stops down the way. And here's probably the employees of the month. Over there.
I want an orange truck. I want an orange truck, Dad. I don't want a red wagon. I want an orange truck. An orange dump truck.
So that's that orange dump truck, if you want one. Nice. Actually, I like that. I like that color. I don't know if this is modern sort of a deal or if that's something like a, let me see. Does that look modern? No, that looks sort of like an old model. Maybe they still make it. I have no idea. Look, this is the factory here. If you can see it, I don't know, with the light. It's morning time, so the light might be shining in your eyes. What does it say? 1936 up there. You wouldn't be able to read it if I showed it to you, so I won't show it. A little bit windy. I'm gonna lose my hat. I guess that's a smoking section. Some people out there smoking, employees. Look at, I didn't know, maybe that's a symbol, is the buffalo. If you can see that. And you thought there were only buffalo in America. I guess probably Belarus was all filled with buffalo a long time ago. I think they even go down into Yugoslavia, buffalo. I don't know, America likes to claim that they're the only ones that have this and that. They did this and that, they're the first ones. You know, this indoctrination that you go through when you get raised in the United States, it's actually kind of terrible, but maybe the whole thing is to make you proud of where you come from. I'm not saying they don't do some similar things in every country, including this one. I don't know. I guess that's part and parcel of being a government. It's not like brainwashing. I don't know what it is. There's somebody trying to turn around here. Always in the wrong place, always in the wrong place. But anyway, let's talk about what I was going to talk about. Lately in the news, there's the one thing that startled me was you hear, I just read this today, as a matter of fact, but they're banning this May 9th celebration in, a little bit windy here. They're banning the May 9th celebrations in Latvia. That's the country that I went through. They're very, very, very anti-Russian, at least the government is, and of course that means, you know, you're going to have a lot of the population is as well. You know, it's a lot of what do you call it, indoctrination or encouragement, or I don't know, you can figure your own word. There's a lot of words, I guess, how they make the people also hate, you know, how they do it in America, you know, the enemy of the month, the enemy of the year, the enemy of the decade, or sometimes a little bit more than a decade. Of course, it's the Russians. The Russians are the new Jews, as everybody knows. So it's like the inferior race. But remember, they went through this sort of thing also in the United States against the Germans. So, you know, we were told that Germans are all evil people. I don't even know if that's over yet. Some people probably still believe that. So they did a really good job, very, very good job of indoctrination, because that's what it is. It's indoctrination. But anyway, they're banning that those parades and any recognition of the defeat of the nasties in World War II. And instead what they have many times a year is they have parades honoring, like, say, the Waffen-SS, the nasties. They have parades there honoring nasties. But that's going on throughout the Balkans, and it's going on a lot in Poland. And if you watch Annie Akay on her channel, she's believing that most of the Polish people are not really in favor of this, but you have a government, and everybody's wondering what's going on with the government in Poland. What is their actual stance on everything? Is it really pro-Ukraine? And then sometimes you hear and they want to take over the western part of Ukraine. Then you hear that Ukraine wants them to take over the western part, that they're making some sort of a deal. And I heard about that, and there was a lot of truth in that Ukraine is making a deal that in exchange for Poland helping Ukraine to get the Russians out of Crimea, that they get western Ukraine. I don't know if it's just a small portion there all the way to Lvov, or a little bit further. I would say at least to Lvov, but Poland also wants a big portion of Belarus, which is a much larger piece than this little piece from the border of Poland to Lvov. Makes you think that they actually want to take all of what used to be at one point in time Galicia. And Poland, I believe, had a portion of Belarus for like 20 years of history. You know, other than that, a lot of the time it belonged to Russia, or was their own entity in different times, you know. It was when there wasn't really countries, when things were states. There used to be at one point in time before, and this is not even long ago, this was before 1870, there were, I believe, some people have said 600 separate little states of Germany, 600 altogether, before 1871. And only in 1871 were a lot of these things consolidated under Bismarck, and they called it Germany. I mean, that's what I've heard. I don't know about 600, but you know, there was Swabia, and of course my ancestry comes from Prussia, and Prussia, you know, had Silesia, Vorpommern, Hinterpommern, and other little sections of of that too. So, and then of course Prussia is the main entity that consolidated Germany, and of course Bismarck made sure of that. And that's why they kept Austria out of Germany. Austria was never allowed to be a part of Germany at that point in time, because Bismarck was saying they're too powerful and they will seek to dominate the new Germany. So anyway, a little history lesson there, if it interests you. Okay, so anyway, now I've talked about that. There's another thing I'd like to talk about. I come from, before I moved here, I was in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and the Prime Minister there, you just mentioned something, but I think it was in light of the opposition saying they might want to switch alliances from Taiwan to China. And there are only, I don't know, you can count on one hand the countries in the world that have their diplomatic relations with Taiwan rather than China. And if it were me, I don't know, you hear Lula, Lula from Brazil, he wants to have good relations with the US as well as Russia and China. And it makes me wonder, well, why can't you have good relations with both Taiwan and China? And in fact, why? You know, the Prime Minister, I always thought that he was quite good in most ways when it doesn't concern money. I got that from somebody from the Green Party. If it doesn't concern money, maybe he's very good when it comes to foreign relations. And I think he is. You know, he's very astute in that sort of thing, similar to like maybe you'd call, say, you'd say Vladimir Putin. And but not this time. He has something he called it, that's his words, the hook in the gill. And of course this has significance to the world politics as well, so I'll get to that, I'll get why. But he called it the hook in the gill, and what he did was he took out loan after loan after loan from Taiwan. And I guess it's not known, but he made sure, apparently, at least he gave the impression that he made sure that if there was ever a switch in alliances or ever some future government wanted to break off relations, diplomatic relations with Taiwan, that whatever money is owed to Taiwan has to be paid immediately on the spot. And he says that's according to the law of New York. And I don't even know why he said that, because I'm thinking, well, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, thousands of miles away from New York, it's a sovereign country, so why does New York law have to apply, you know, a New York state law, why does that have to apply to a sovereign country? I don't really understand that. And he calls this little thing that he did so that any opposition or any other party cannot break off relations with Taiwan unless they have a huge sum of money, which is close to $1 billion, I guess, very close to 1 billion. And nobody has, I mean, a small country of 110,000 does not have $1 billion just kind of laying around. And it's a country, you know, the problem that I had while I was living there is he never really instituted any kind of a policy that encouraged opportunity for business or whatnot. The situation is already bad because it's a small island in the Caribbean and not so much traffic going there. So in other words, to get any sort of raw materials for any sort of manufacturing, for example, you have to pay. You have to pay a lot. And since there's few ships going there, the fee is a lot higher than if you had, you know, hundreds and hundreds of container ships landing in some port like in the United States. That's why the, you know, products can be a lot cheaper because of quantity in the United States. Plus, St. Vincent and the Grenadines has huge customs duty. They've never been able to figure out how to increase revenue a better way, and the government is completely unwilling to make any kind of sacrifices, you know, to their finances. So they keep just charging the people. they charge the people more and more, so the customs duties are very high there for most everything. And then they sort of started realizing things, I don't know, maybe some of the last 5, 6, 7 years when I was there, and then they started having lower duties on like packaging supplies and things like that for the country to, for people maybe starting their own little industries. But duty-free in St. Vincent is the same as what the normal duty is in America. So you still have to pay huge shipping costs, as well as, I think it's 6% customs duty fee, when a lot of times the entire customs charge in America is 6%. So that's called duty-free there when it's 6%. So like a car, for example, if you want to import a car, it's when I was there, it was 150% customs duty. So you have to buy the car 2.5 times. And then, not only that, say if you find a great deal on a car, for example, and then the government decides, the Blue Book value is a lot higher than that, so they take whatever the highest value is, and that's the price that they charge you as the value of the car. So if you paid $10,000 and the Blue Book says $15,000, the Blue Book, so they're going to charge you as if you paid $15,000. So then you got to pay, they call it the CIF, which is cost, insurance, and freight. So you pay duty on the CIF as if it would cost $15,000, not $10,000. So very bad situation there for a lot of the people there. And that's how they keep the country poor, unfortunately. I'm not just talking about cars. There's a lot of cars. There's a lot of people, and there's a lot of different incentives how to get a car in, maybe with some sort of a discount. And a little tiny island like that, and the roads are in very bad repair. The money's not really put into infrastructure, unfortunately. The main source of infrastructure would be your roads, of course, as everybody knows that. There are no railroads there. And ports were always in a very, very bad shape. The dock you couldn't even tie up anywhere on the island of Canawan. That's where a lot of the rich people are. I don't know, maybe they fixed it by now, because there's a lot of millionaires there. And of course you have a lot of the richest people in the world that have property in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. You have movie stars and big business people. And then you have a lot of people visiting there, the royal family of England, for example, things like that. Anyway, I don't want to talk too much about that sort of thing. But anyway, this hook in the gill. And if you look at how this is going on in the United States, they have a lot of this too. So how that works in politics is somebody helps you out in your campaign to run for a certain office, say Gorgeous George Soros, for example. And he makes it possible for you to become the prosecutor, or you run for prosecutor of, say New York, of all places. And then there's certain stipulations, certain things you have to do for him in return. Say if there's some guy that he doesn't like, maybe running for some political office somewhere, you have to come up with something that this person is some sort of a criminal or whatever. Even if it's a misdemeanor charge, you have to blow it up to be something really bad. And you all know what I'm talking about. So it's sort of like a hook in the gill. It's a hook in the gill of that prosecutor. And a lot of times, if you know how politics works, you hear a lot about people committing suicide and all that sort of thing. Well, you think they really did commit suicide? Maybe they didn't do the payoff. Maybe they knew some information. Some people talk about this one guy. He had a business with young girls, and he put hooks in the gills of a lot of people coming to his little island. And and then they got scared, so they didn't want him to speak. They didn't want him to talk. Makes you wonder what kind of deals are going on that you don't know about. Well, there was other little bits of news and things. A lot of this stuff is just sort of like, oh, what might happen, and this and that and the other things. So I don't know. I don't know if I should even mention anything like that. A lot of people are, I remember they're talking about Bakhmut. It wasn't a year ago, it was September, back in September. In 2 weeks, approximately 2 weeks, Bakhmut is going to fall. And here it is. It still hasn't quite fallen. But of course, we're all talking about the meat grinder. And then everybody's talking also about this secret offensive. When is this offensive going to happen? What's happening? Is there some kind of tricks at play here? And tell you what, and as you all know, there's still there is chemical weapons being used, and of course the Russians don't even want to talk about that, because just think how demoralizing that would be. Who knows how much it's getting used? I'm not there. None of us are, but it's a fact that they are using them, and they're doing all kinds of nasty sort of things. The nasties, that's why they call them the nasties. The neo-nasties and all that, with their buddies, the neoliberals and the neoconservatives, all of them, power. Gosh. Well, in any case, I didn't take any notes, so I'm just kind of shooting from the hip here. And that's mostly why I just wanted to, talk a little bit. I didn't want to go into some long video, and I'm hoping, when I feel more comfortable living here, not living with mother-in-law, and I'll have a real desk I can write on and a computer and all that, I can do things probably a lot better. At least that's what I'm telling you. I told everybody I was going to be moving in about 10 days, and I started saying that, I don't know, maybe 30 days ago. Well, not quite 30 days ago. It's getting closer and closer, and I'm here now because they're putting in a ceiling in one room, so finally getting that done. And then the doors, maybe in the entire interior of the apartment, the doors will be going in on Wednesday. And then after that, you can put in the floorboards. But at the moment, the floorboards, it's not even ordered yet, and it's going to take, who knows. So then you can't put your furniture actually in there until the floorboards are all put in as well. So all of these little things. I was going to get the floorboards pre-made from someplace, and it's very, very difficult. You can't even imagine how difficult it is to get decent floorboards anywhere. I was in Germany and had a house there for a while, and I was looking at everything, and everything's plastic floorboards. Look ugly as anything you could imagine. And even over here, a lot of things are plastic. Even in the 70s, they were making them out of wood, but everything's plastic now. And the reason why they even cost a little bit more when they're in wood is because they make less of them. So the price is higher as well. And of course, if you want to be some kind of a real environmentalist or something like that and say, oh gosh, you're cutting down a tree to do this. But I see so much wood cut and branches and things, and they're not making anything out of it. They just burn it or let it rot somewhere. So, and it's like a floorboard. Look at that. What are they? A couple inches. So I've seen bigger pieces of wood just left to rot in places. And they do it in the West all over the place too. So it's not like that's a big deal. We're talking about these nice, big, huge planks. Used to be in the old days. I've seen houses even here, and they're like, I don't know, what are they? 16, 18 inches wide planks. Solid pieces of wood. Incredible. They don't even allow trees to grow that thick anymore before they cut them all down. Well, we all have a different opinion on environmentalism, and it's more like a trade-off, and there get to be more and more people in the world, so more and more demand for this and that and the other thing. And I'm not saying I'm always against having plastic floorboards, but we wanted to, matter of fact, we have them in our house, but we wanted a couple rooms to be real wood, and not just little things. What is it? How many? I think they said 3 centimeters is normally what they're having now. Very small. And I found a place that had them for 6 centimeters. They had 6 centimeter. And this one guy, one reason why this is going to take a long time, the guy's got to make them. And he was asking, he wanted it to make them 10 centimeters. And I told him, no, I said 8. So, and made a pine rather than alder. Alder costs more money. So, but anyhow, that's all my personal sort of stuff. And you guys came here to watch the news. So I'll just end right now and try to get this uploaded. Maybe I can do that before I even go back to Baranovici, because I'm still going to have to be staying there at least another week, maybe 2. Oh, I don't know. This is just dragging out too long. But anyhow, subscribe if you haven't already, like everybody says on their videos. Push the like button if you've already subscribed. And well, I'll see you the next time. And thanks for watching. See you then. Thanks. Bye-bye.